G'day all. This is meant to be a relatively brief and informal introduction to the course, just giving you a sense of the structure, the overview, the learning activities, what you should do to succeed in it, and what the assessment looks like. I hope that'll be useful to you. It's called a curriculum, pedagogy and assessment course, as most of the courses of this kind in your teaching areas are called now in the Masters. In the Bachelors, they're still called just curriculum courses, but we wanted in the Masters to reflect the fact that they're not really just about curriculum, they're about curriculum, pedagogy and assessment. So what the documents are that guide our planning to teach and how we plan to teach, how we actually teach, and how we measure students' learning, give them opportunities to demonstrate their learning and give them feedback. So that's really what it's about. It's pedagogical content knowledge. You're probably aware of the concept of pedagogical content knowledge, I think, but just a quick refresher for you if you aren't, or if you haven't encountered it before, or if you've forgotten. Lee Shulman, about 1986, wrote an excellent paper called Those Who Understand about teaching and about the things that you need to know in order to be a teacher. And he talked about content knowledge, the knowledge that you are imparting to the students, so the knowledge that you know about. And in this case, that's science knowledge. You have all completed an undergraduate degree in a science or multiple sciences. So chemistry, physics, biology, earth and environmental science. Earth and environmental is new to us this year as a new senior syllabus in Queensland, and all of the other areas also have new senior syllabuses in Queensland, which we'll talk about over the next couple of weeks. So that's content knowledge. Sorry, I kind of digressed a little bit. Pedagogical knowledge, general pedagogical knowledge, is the knowledge that we as science teachers share with all other teachers. So teachers of English, visual arts, history, PE, business, etc. There's a bunch of things that are just teacher knowledge. So how you manage behavior in a classroom, how you manage learning in the classroom, how you assess, how you work with students, how you build rapport with the class, those kind of things. All teachers need to know that stuff. And then pedagogical content knowledge, PCK, is pedagogical knowledge, knowledge about how to teach particular content. So it's your science teaching knowledge. And that's what this course is about. Your junior secondary course that you did was about the same thing, but at that junior secondary level, and this is about the senior secondary level. So it's a curriculum, pedagogy and assessment course. We want to prepare you not just to teach in Queensland. We want you to be able to teach in Queensland. Okay, I'll cut these videos together, but I noticed that the cursor was on the computer screen sitting on my shoulder and it was bugging me, so I got rid of it and restarted the video. All right. We want to prepare you to teach in Queensland, in southeast Queensland. We're in the Gold Coast or we're in Brisbane. We might want to stay in this area and teach, but I want you to be able to teach in Palm Island or Longreach or anywhere else in Queensland that you want to go. I want you to be able to teach anywhere in Australia, and I really want you to be able to teach anywhere in the world. Australian teacher registration now holds for all of Australia. If you're registered in Queensland, you can register in any state. And Australian teacher registration is very well regarded internationally. So usually it doesn't take a lot to be allowed to teach in other countries. I want you to have a global view of what teaching is about, not just a Queensland view. Now, having said that, you will also be doing your placement and possibly your first teaching in Queensland. So we need to prepare you well with the Queensland curriculum and syllabus and the requirements of assessment in Queensland, and we'll do that. But we want you to have that global view as well. So it'll be a bit broader than just this is what you need to do if you're going to teach just down the road from where you live right now. And we want you to be thinking like a professional. We want you to be thinking, drawing on broader bodies of knowledge and theory and ideas, rather than just technically carrying out procedures, because it just doesn't work for humans. If I'm producing steel in a steel mill, then I put in the right amount of temperature, the right amount of iron, the right amount of coke, the right temperature, pressure, etc., and I'll get the same product every time. Same raw materials, same process, same product. Humans are not like that. Humans, the raw material is always different. Every class, every student, every year is going to be different. The processes that you need to put in to get the product, which sounds kind of inhumane to say, but to give the students the experiences and the learning and the preparation for life that you are giving them will differ. So you need to be a professional. You need to be thinking in ways that are reactive and interactive and connected. You need to be able to make professional judgments when you're planning to teach, when you are actually teaching live in the classroom, and you need to make those in an instant. You need to be able to carry several things in your mind. So you've got the content that you're talking about, you've got the learning experiences, you've got the next learning experience to come, you've got whatever technology you need, you've got then the students' behavior, their engagement, their connection, the eye contact, whether they look puzzled or whether they're on topic, off topic, etc. And to do that, you need to have knowledge, and then you need to have knowledge also to do assessment and feedback. You need to be able to make judgments about learning. You need to connect with students at a range of levels. You need a wide variety of things. So I want you to be thinking as professionals, and that means studying bodies of theory, ideas about how to conceptualize and understand teaching and what we do. So bodies of theory are not disconnected from practice, and I'll try really hard to link them to practice wherever I can, but they absolutely inform our practice because they're perspective transformations. They make you think differently about what school is. So far, you've done quite a lot of being a student, of sitting in educational contexts, so probably 12 years at school, 12 or 13 years at school, and 3 to 4 years at university of being a student. Now you're a teacher. You have to start learning and thinking and being like a teacher. And you have to reconceptualize and not just reproduce what was done to you, but figure out how to do it better. That's the challenge as professional teachers. So the structure of the course, 6 weeks of lectures, labs, and readings after placement. So in this particular trimester, you, I believe, have some intensives for your prac courses and other courses in week 1 and 2, then go out into schools for a number of weeks and come back to us in week 7. And then this course runs from week 7 to 12 of the trimester. The lectures will be by video. I will link them through the Learning at Griffith site, but they will be hosted on YouTube. They will be unlisted, so you can't randomly find them, and other randoms can't find them on YouTube, but they'll be there partly because that allows you to do closed captioning. It's automatic, the computer does it, so it's about as smart as autocorrect, so it won't be 100%, but if you need captions, that's available. But also being on YouTube means that you have access to these videos after you graduate from the course. You'll lose access to stuff that's internal to Griffith when you are no longer a student, but stuff that's on YouTube, if you've got those URLs, you can still get to it. So that's one of the reasons I use YouTube rather than other hosting resources. I will be keeping an eye on how many people are looking at the vids, but not who. So I will just have a number. I'll know how many students are in the class. I'll know what proportion of the class is actually looking at the videos, but I won't know if you individually looked at them or not. I strongly encourage you to do so because a lot of the learning in the course comes from the video content as well as the readings. So if you're going to get the maximum learning out of the course, that's something you need to be paying attention to. There will be a set of resources, a set of readings, which will all be available online. So you don't need to buy a textbook. There are some textbooks you might want to buy. There's one by my colleagues Grady Venville and Vale Dawson that's very good about teaching secondary science. You may even have that from your junior secondary course, but if not, that's probably worth acquiring. And you will need access to senior secondary science textbooks in your field. So if you're a biology person, you need biology textbooks. You can do that via the library or ways other than buying them because they tend to be pricey, but also you might want to buy them because they're going to be a great resource when you're teaching next year as well. So the readings will be short pieces, maybe a paper, maybe a couple of blog posts or a couple of shorter pieces, a variety of bits and pieces. Some of them will be things I've written. That's not due to pure narcissism, although it might look that way. It's because I know where to find a brief, concise, and I think clear discussion of an issue that I've written, whereas I would struggle to find somebody else's one that's as well fitted to the purpose as that one. It doesn't mean that I think that I'm the be-all and end-all by any means, quite the reverse. But you know, I'll probably use some resources that I've created and some, obviously, that other people have created. Some will be kind of challenging to read if you're not used to reading the education literature. I think, you know, by this time in your program, you probably have had a very rapid introduction to reading academic literature. I don't think you'll find it overwhelming, and I'll try and pick ones that are engaging and accessible. But I've also tried not to overload you. I've tried not to give you a crazy amount to read each week, a manageable amount. But as with the videos, I would encourage you with the readings to really pay attention. I don't think I said it about the videos, but with the videos, I would encourage you to do them full screen. Don't have another screen open with your email or your Facebook or your Instagram or your YouTube or your chat, whatever it happens to be. Don't have your phone beside you with any of those things. Just give it your full attention. Maybe use earphones or headphones. Engage with it fully. Make notes. Don't make notes that just summarize. That's kind of pointless. Make notes that challenge, question, etc. Disagree with me if you want to. Write down questions that you will take to Harry or Ben, or that you'll email me about. Actively engage with the videos. Make them your focus, because it's the way that they're going to stick in. If you half watch them out the corner of your eye, you'll get nothing out of them. And actively watch and actively read. So when you're reading the readings, same thing. Make notes, ask questions, actively engage, challenge yourself, try and see where the paper's heading, see whether you're right, and so on. So actively engage with the material, because that's how you're going to get the best experience out of the course. You'll get the maximum benefit out of the course. We basically have 3 hours content a week. So an hour of video lectures, or roughly an hour. It'll be a few shorter pieces. Roughly 2 hours, or exactly 2 hours of labs. And then, but of course you should be doing something on the order of 10 hours. This is what TEQSA, the Tertiary Education Quality and Standards Authority, which is the Australian university body, says that a course should be around about 10 hours per week of engagement, and it probably should be more than that. Some of that time will be taken up by your placement, because you're doing the things that you've learned in your previous course and getting ready to do the things for next time. But you really should have several hours a week to spend on this course if you want to get the most out of it, and you should spend that time and do that active listening and watching. You'll also need some time to do your assessment tasks, of course, which we'll talk about in a second. So the lab, we can't teach you science content, and that can be a problem for people in this program. In the bachelor's, they've just done their science content courses immediately before they do this course. In your master's, you might have done it 15 years ago and be coming back to university now. So you might need to do a little bit of refreshing of your own. We in the course don't really have time to reteach, you know, the content of all of year 11 and 12 chemistry, let alone, you know, the equivalent of up to second year uni chemistry, which is kind of what would be helpful to know. So you will be responsible to refresh your own knowledge to some extent, because this course is a pedagogical content knowledge course. We have to assume the content knowledge, because otherwise we would have to, you know, effectively reteach you a Bachelor of Science or whatever. But, you know, the lab activities will kind of refresh your knowledge. You'll be using some of the knowledge you use, and particularly maybe they're helpful in coming down to a senior secondary school level. Because if you have been doing second or third level university, or in the case of some of you, master's or doctoral study at university, you will be significantly above where the students are, and you need to have a good sense of what the students are doing, what they're required to do, and so on. So the lab activities will help with that. They'll give you a sense of what you're required to do, what the students are required to do, and how that works. But as I say, they can't really teach the content. If you need more content refreshing, then I would suggest going to things like Khan Academy and other web-based resources that are good. I would suggest getting those senior secondary textbooks and even working through the problems. I've done that in the past. I had to teach a calculus course, and I'd done calculus at uni, but I hadn't really got it at a deep level that I could teach it. So I just got the textbook that the students were doing and went through it a few weeks ahead of them. Worked every problem or every second problem, actually did the work that the students needed to do, and that was great. And I think I did a decent job of teaching it. And you can do some of that But it shouldn't be that you're checking it the night before. You should be checking it while you're at uni so that when you're out teaching, you can focus on the planning and the assessment and the feedback and the pedagogy. So I've probably said too much about that, but people sometimes get stressed. People sometimes on the survey at the end of the course say, I wanted more content knowledge learning. Well, I'm sorry, but that's not what this course is for. It's not what it was intended for. It's designed to be a pedagogical content knowledge course. And the nature of the Masters is that we assume you come in with the content knowledge based on your undergrad degree. And as I say, that may be stale and you may need to refresh it. I went back and did a graduate certificate in science in my 40s on stuff that I hadn't done since my early 20s. So refreshing your own knowledge is helpful as well. The assessment pieces are very similar to the rest of the curriculum, pedagogy and assessment courses in your master's program. So this 50-50 picture will be fairly familiar to you, I'm sure, from the ones you did last trimester and from the other teaching area that you're doing this trimester. 2 assessment tasks: critical analysis and evaluation of a learning sequence from a senior secondary science textbook. Is one of the reasons you need access to a textbook, because what you need to do is go into a textbook. Sorry, I do keep linking to my own personal experience, but hopefully it's helpful by way of credibility, if nothing else. I'm currently I've finished writing textbook chapters for one of the big textbook publishers. So if you get a senior science physics textbook, it may well have chapters that I wrote in it. And I'm currently working on creating exam questions and other resources with them as well. So the textbooks will have particular treatments of particular topics. So I wrote a chapter on quantum, for example, the black body radiation, the ultraviolet catastrophe, Planck's solution, Bohr's model of the atom, those kind of things. So there's a particular sequence, and there are choices, there are professional decisions that an author makes when they write a sequence like that. And that sequence is not inevitable. It's a choice. I chose to do it in a particular order, in a particular sequence, and we brought in black body radiation, although I suspect it mightn't be actually in the syllabus, but we needed it to explain some other things. Or maybe black body's in and the ultraviolet catastrophe's out. But we needed those concepts to be able to properly explain things. So what you'll be doing is taking one of those sequences. So how does the textbook teach a particular topic, and critiquing and analyzing it? How would I have done it differently or better? What's the textbook done well? What could it do better? What decisions were made? So you're trying to get inside the head of the textbook author and think about why they might have done it in the way that they've done it, and what alternative possibilities there are. So that's a 50% piece. The detailed criteria and information are on the Learning at Griffith site, so you can look into that. But that's the first piece. The second piece is a planning and assessment task. So it's effectively kind of a unit plan that's built out into kind of we can talk a little bit more about unit planning with a lowercase u and an uppercase u, which is a kind of new thing with the new syllabus. And basically you're annotating it to show us your thinking. Now, once you're a working teacher, you're just doing the document, doing the work of teaching, and you know your own thinking about it. But we have to assess your thinking. So the reason you annotate is in order to make your thinking visible to us. And you're telling us not only what you're going to do in your planning to teach, but why. Why have you made the decisions you've made? And you can see these assessment tasks are doing exactly what I was talking about earlier, which is preparing you to think like a professional, preparing you to have a rationale in terms of theory, in terms of ideas, in terms of student needs, student development, student psychology, a whole variety of things that inform what you do and you understand why you do it. So I hope that's really helpful. Okay, I'm going to stop there with this course introduction. It's probably longer than I intended, but hopefully enough detail to help you understand how to succeed. And again, to me, succeeding is not getting a good grade. Good grades are nice, GPAs are nice. I don't think they're as important in getting a job as being a good teacher on placement. I think most people get jobs by being a teacher rather than by having a good GPA. But a good grade is nice. But what actually, to me, constitutes success in this course is being a good teacher, a well-informed teacher, a flexible, thoughtful, professional teacher who continues to grow and develop over multiple years and continues to challenge themselves to be better in new ways every year. Have a great trimester. I look forward to working with you. I am convening the course, even though I'm doing the lectures by video. I'll still be available on email, phone, for meetings and chats if you need to catch up. If you have any concerns or questions, go to Ben and Gordon, your tutors first. If they can't help you, come to me. If I can't help you, I can pass you up the chain to Professor Beryl Exley, the Deputy Head of School for Learning and Teaching, and then further up the chain as required. Hopefully it won't come to that. Hopefully most of your problems will be solved quickly and simply. And I'm pretty good at responding to email, as some of you have discovered already. That's the way to get me. Don't phone my office because I'm often out of the office for a couple of days and won't get the message. Drop me an email because my device is with me everywhere and I'll get back to you pretty quickly. Thanks a lot. Have a great trimester. Look forward to working with you. See ya.